What's up, YouTube? And if you've been living under a rock, I have some news to break to you. Danica Patrick is on the pole for the Daytona 500, and tonight, I'm going to tell you why it's not as significant as you may have thought, or the ill-informed people think. Obviously, it's a great accomplishment in the terms of female athletes in sports. But if you think that Danica Patrick being on the pole for the Daytona 500 means she's going to win the race, or she's even considered a favorite, you're sadly mistaken. And I'm sorry, Danica Patrick fans. But the fact of the matter is that NASCAR's Daytona, the track she qualified on the pole at, is what in NASCAR terms a plate track. And what that means is that there's a restrictor plate put on the engines to lower the power and in turn make the car slower. That has an effect on how the cars race, though. With the less power and the big hole they punch in the air with those big old bumpers and big old spoilers they've got in the back of the cars, that causes there to be this huge draft. And that draft creates huge 43 car packs. And with those packs, it means that no one can really break away from the pack. And what that leads to is a lot of cars in contention to race and to win, but the adverse side effects to that are the fact that you can have a massive accident that takes out half the field, or you can go from first to 43rd in one lap because you get freight trained, or you lose the draft somehow. So anyone thinking that Danica Patrick, starting on the pole for this Daytona 500, which comes up in a week, I believe, if you think this pole win is going to make her any more likely to win the race than she would be if she was starting 10th, 25th, 43rd, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Because really on a restrictor plate track such as Daytona or Talladega, it's more about the show for the first 499 miles, and then it becomes a race for the 500th. Now that said, you have to. I'm not saying that restrictor plate racing doesn't take any skill. It does take some skill in the fact that you have to. It's more of a mental game. You have to make sure you don't go too hard too early. You don't overheat your engine bump drafting someone. You don't cause the accident. The big accident that takes out half the field. You have to avoid the big accident that takes out half the field. So it's more of a strategy race than it is a sprint. It's like if Danica the Daytona 500 is not like any other of the big races. You could lead wire to wire theoretically in the Indy 500, starting from pole. You could lead wire to wire in the Le Mans 24-hour race starting from the pole. In those kind of races, and Monaco GP, obviously, any Formula One race, you start from the pole, you could lead wire to wire. In those races, starting from the pole gives you a distinct advantage versus the other competitors. You get a better position on the grid. That means you get to turn one faster, and usually it's actually a turn, not just a big bank, 60-foot wide stretch of banking that you can fit four cars on all the way around the track. It's a better place to be, and that way you can avoid any kind of first corner accident, and you can go flat out because there's dirty air behind you, and then the other cars can't get through the corners fast. But Daytona does not work that way. I'd actually be surprised if Danica leads the first lap of the race, because there may be, Jeff Gordon will be starting alongside. It really depends on who's behind them, who starts behind them, and we won't know that until the Gatorade Budweiser duels at Daytona. They changed the sponsor names so much that I'm sorry, I can't remember. But anyway, that all depends on the duels. If Tony Stewart, their car owner, or Ryan Newman starts behind her, I think she could lead the first lap. She could lead the first 10 or 15 laps, honestly, because it depends how well they settle in at the beginning of the race. But I mean, it's potentially Danica could be 10th or 20th on the first lap at the end of the first lap from starting from the pole, and then she could be back to the front the next lap. It doesn't really matter where you start in the Daytona 500 anymore, because it's a crapshoot for, like I said, the first, and I'll be more reasonable, I say the first 480 miles of the race. Then you go the last 20, and that's usually when the accident happens, and people get, they want to wreck. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video. I hope I'm probably gonna get flamed if you stayed this long and you haven't already typed out some hate-filled comment. Great job. But just want to make this video just to express this, because I'm worried that people are going to think, oh, Danica Patrick, she's got the pole, oh my god, she's going to win the... No, she's not. She doesn't have any... This pole gives her two advantages. One, she doesn't have to worry about the Gatorade duels or whatever. She doesn't have to worry about those, because if she wrecks her car or whatever, it doesn't matter. And number two, well, it gives her, positive publicity, which is all fine and dandy. But yeah, just wanted to inform you guys in case you didn't already know, or in case you're drinking the Kool-Aid, in which case, really, this isn't for you hardcore racing fans who either are flaming me right now or agreeing with me or flaming each other. And I've already gone 7 minutes. How have I talked about Danica Patrick winning the pole for 7 minutes? You know what? I think I'm fueling the fire. But you know what I didn't mention in this video? Ricky Stenhouse. I'm better than Speed. I'm better than Speed Channel. I didn't mention that until 7 minutes into my telecast of talking about Danica, before I mentioned Ricky Stenhouse. Or that Paul guy. Who was that Paul guy anyway? I never saw him. I actually seen Danica Patrick, and I've gone to the Indy 500 and all that. Seen Danica Patrick, never seen Paul. Okay, we're going 8 minutes. Time to wrap it up. But yeah, Danica Patrick winning the pole for the Daytona 500 is not as significant as some people are making it out to be. Thank you very much for watching, and Ricky